So, hello everyone. Welcome to KayBees Spot. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with, again, one of my favorite authors. You see her stuff on my page. I had the pleasure of participating in her recent book release. Um, it is the one and only author, Untamed, who is untamed in this industry. So, hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I always feel like I'm at home when I get to talk to my people.
Right. I remember when I was a guest on your podcast, I was so nervous, but you made it like so easy to just talk and be myself. And I probably was a little bit too much myself.
You were
Um,
perfect. Look, I'm telling
so
you, still in the running of one of my top podcasts of all time. Okay.
thank you.
Well,
So I'm just going to jump right in. We
okay.
know you as an author. You have an extensive catalog. Most recently, you released book 4 in the Never Again, No More series.
Yeah, that's it.
And I hadn't read that series until book 4. So I came into that one late. Who are these people? And I need to know more about them. So what
Right.
I did, I went and purchased the audiobooks
Okay.
for the other 3. I probably won't get to listen to them till I'm on vacation, but I'm going to try to listen to them before I hope book 5 comes out. Because you left us.
What a whammy. Yes, I did. With the
I don't want to talk about it because I know some people may not have read it yet, but I'm just going to say, if you haven't read it yet, start with book 1 and then lead up to book 4. Because I feel like even though I didn't read the first 3 books, I felt like I still could get a grasp on book 4.
Mhm.
But I was so intrigued by what was making these people tick that I was like, I got to go back and read the
Yeah.
other 3 books. And that rarely happens because I'm like, you did a good job. I don't feel like I missed anything. I didn't feel like I missed anything here, but those characters were so real. I
Mhm.
was like, I got to go. Yeah, because these
And
women
it's
are
a
exceptional.
journey with those
Yeah.
characters too, because they're significantly younger when
Hmm.
in book 1.
Yeah.
And this happens over a span of about 3 or 4 years. So
Hmm.
right on book 4, they've grown some, but
And the
changed
drama.
some and
Yes.
got brand new drama. So yeah, you got to go back so you can get the original drama.
Yes. Because they had, and I was like, what the heck? It was like 3 a.m. Literally, I was still up reading that night. And I was like, no, I got to get up and go to work in the morning. So
Right.
I was cussing you out just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
Just a
Okay.
wee bit. Yeah,
As
I
long
was
as it was
cussing
just a
you a little
good,
bit,
I, you
but it
know,
was good. It was
look,
good.
I've
I
got full
enjoyed it.
blown cuss outs, and like I got texts at 3 o'clock in the morning cussing me out. Okay.
Okay, well, I don't feel so bad then. So something new that I discovered you are involved in now is you're making the transition to, I know you write books, I know you um, edit and ghostwrite and all these other things, connected to literature. And now you've added books to film to your repertoire, and I love it. So, how did that happen? How did that transition happen?
Well, it really happened. I have to give that shout out to my agent. Like she's really good about going to people and saying, okay, what do you want to be involved with? Like when before we even signed, we got on the phone and we talked for like hours
Yeah.
about, my hopes for now and then my hopes for the future. And she was like, okay, well, I have things that come up in all kind of arenas. She was like, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna put you to work.
Yeah.
I said, okay. And then she saw how my work ethic was and she put me to, so she was like, listen, I
Yeah.
gotta, I gotta pull you in on some other teams over here. So she was
Yeah.
like, because I don't know how you do it. And I was like, I don't know either.
Yeah.
So I can honestly say she significantly brought me in. And I really, my thing was, she said, the first thing was I was actually a production assistant for
Okay.
Guttermother, which was the first movie,
Yes.
and did really well with that. That was, I was more hands-on post-production. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I think I love it. She said, really? You think you want to come in? Because she knew I had been studying, television, film, and how to do all this stuff. And she said,
Yeah.
okay, well, I will bring you in. And so I had to go through a series of things. And she was like, okay, you're ready for a co-producer, ready for co-producer. So that's what I was. And then somehow ended up being a screenwriter too. I was like, she said, look, I need somebody fast. We got to do some things. We got to revamp it. It was just one of those things where the script that originally just needed to be fleshed out more. We had to bring it where it needed to be. So her and I tag team for like 2 weeks straight. And when I say it literally felt like it was 2 weeks straight, because it was literally like us going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 6 a.m. and starting all over again with this. So I ended up being for Trap Soldiers, one of the screenwriters and a co-producer. And so that means being involved from beginning all the way to the end. And I told her, I can say effectively, you have managed to put me at a place where I'm like, I cannot do X, Y, Z right now with this.
So, and that's the one you guys are working on now, Trap Soldiers in Dallas.
That's the one that we are working on. That is actually inspired by CJ Hudson's novel Turf Wars. So he gave us the free reins of it. He was like, you know, he didn't mind it being revamped a little bit. So even though it's inspired by Trap Soldiers, it's really its own script. Like it has a whole different plot and everything, but we pulled a little bit from but it's still his project. He's still the EP, still under his brand, his baby, his entertainment company. But when he finally got it, you know, back, he was like, I love it. I love it. I see it. I see it now. So but it's been a fun, loving project. Like I would not change anything for the world. Except for the fact of, like I said, I would change some more hours of the day so I get to sleep.
I think that's just, I mean, I love the fact that, you know, it's another woman helping another woman, you know, and not just saying, what we see too often is, you know, I can't support you because we're doing the same thing, and that might take notoriety or money out of my pocket. And that's why, like, I do my best to share like other bloggers, other book reviewers. I may highlight some of their stuff too. And there's some reciprocity there, and I appreciate those ladies. But I'm not going to not share you because we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing, but we're not doing the same thing, right? And so I love the fact that you guys, and she reached down, and not reached down, but you know what I'm saying? She reached back. She's going to pull you up to elevate you. And then that sets the precedence for you to be able to help the next person too. And I love the sisterhood of the whole entrepreneurial journey.
And you know what I love about that too? I love because she looks at it just like you said, like, okay, I may be helping you, but you're helping me because now you're a script writer, you know, because she has a script writing service. So, you know, and I haven't said that, but haven't talked too much about it, but I've written like TV pilots. At this point, in between all this, I was writing TV pilots and shows for people, you know, treatments and everything. So she's like, you're helping me because I'm able to come to you and say, hey, I got a job for you. Are you able to take it on? And she passes it over to me. And then it's something that she doesn't have to do, you know, and it's not like she's bombarded with everything. She's actually able to build this company around Black women. And I will say about Trap Soldiers, what I love outside of CJ, because he's a male. Just about outside of our director and our cinematographer and our EP, it is all Black female producers, you know, line producers, associate producers, wardrobe, design, everything, just about everything was Black, all Black women. We have a production assistant, it's a little mix, but for the most part, like in the major positions, it's all Black women. And so that was just such a beautiful thing to me too. I was like, look at all this Black girl magic around us.
But and to that point too, I kind of had a similar blessing, so I definitely can relate. I have an author, Darlene Burns, who brought me into a project of hers, and that's how I got into script development and consultancy. And it's something I don't really talk about at all either, but I love the fact, and again, another woman helping another woman, another Black woman helping another Black woman, and then pulled in another woman to help us out. And you know, because we talk sometimes. And so, I believe in building community and helping each other as best we can. Because I will reach out to you in a hot minute in
Yes.
your DM and say, hey, do you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I love referring people. Like if I know someone who needs something, I try to refer them out to each other. And you do that as well too. And I see the way you not only entertain us with your many TikToks, um, but you are,
That's becoming my second love.
oh my God. Now I'm trying to be inspirational here and give you some flowers.
Okay.
But let me tell you, which TikTok was it with the man? There was one you did, and I was like, oh, that is eye candy from, oh my God, I love
Was
it.
it light skinned man or was it dark skinned man?
No, he was dark skinned.
Oh, it probably was Niles. It probably was Niles.
That's who it was. Oh my goodness. Because like I'm holding up my phone talking about this is what I want for my birthday. You see this?
Right.
Can you get him?
Can I get him?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just 50. I'm in my golden girl season, entering into it.
That's okay. Hey, that's the best season.
Yeah. Well, and then I'm about to say menopause. These hot flashes is kicking my butt, but I find myself wanting a couple of noses myself. A couple. I'm gonna be a little greedy. A couple.
You greedy. That's okay. Well, look, when we get seasoned, we earn the right to get a little greedy. A little greedy.
Yes, I appreciate that, Lisa, because I'm like, I'll take two of those, one of those. Turn around, let me see.
All right.
Yes, which is why I loved All Queens Men. Christian Keys. Oh my God.
I have got to see. Look, y'all just don't know.
You gotta watch it.
My television and movie watches, like I probably watch movies a little bit faster than television shows because it's in and out, But TV shows you have to be committed, and I don't have the time anymore. But I try. But that's one. It's a couple that I'm like, okay, I don't care if I have to binge watch it. I'm going to take time to watch it.
That's what I did. I was on vacation and which I was trying my vacation for the second time because the first time didn't work because I ended up still working. And then I just binge watched it over the weekend and like, whew, I was like, yes, Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you start working on something like that, I'm your girl.
Okay. I'm
casting, PA, whatever. I'm your girl.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say before you distracted me was I appreciate and I love the fact that you not only entertain but you educate too. And inspire. Like your posts are not just entertaining, they are inspirational, they're also educational, and you wrap all that up in a little bit of humor. But you're always giving us something. You're always filling us up with something. So I, for one, always appreciate it. I don't get to respond all the time, but I like it. So, I saw it. Even though if I can't comment fully how I want to comment, because technically I'm probably supposed to be working or paying attention in a meeting or something.
I understand completely because that's how I am. It's like I want to, because I cut up, so I always want to go and cut up. And I said, but see, this is my thing. I know how to get people going, and then they'll get me going, and then I'll be 5 hours on Instagram or TikTok talking back and forth, and ain't done another one I'm supposed to do.
Right?
I have to learn how to be like, okay, I'm gonna just like it, love it, or whatever, so they'll know I saw it. And then when I have time on those days, I got a little time, I'll be like, I'll go back and forth with people and everything. I tell them all the time, I say, y'all, I know it seems like at times that I don't engage. I said, but I promise you, when y'all get me going, y'all see how I act. I said, so this is why.
Yeah,
I have to limit
that's very
myself.
True. So you have so much going on, and I know you're married, you're Mr. You showed out for him a couple of weeks ago for your anniversary. You were working it. I loved it. But how has his support affected the way you work and your work ethic and what you've been able to do?
Girl, I'm telling y'all, and I say this to anybody who will listen, I would not be able to do not even have probably 75% of what I do if it was not for his support. Like I always say, he's a real MVP because he shows up for me and he's like, no, I got you, do what you got to do. I got you. I got you. And I'm just like, okay, because I'm always going to him like, well, I can't do this because I got an interview. He's like, no, I got you. So I'm sitting here like, Lord, when I retire, I'm probably going to be on permanent dish duty, laundry duty, house cleaning duty, everything, oil changes and all kind of stuff. I'll be doing it. He's such a man. Like he doesn't mind at all.
Yeah.
And even when I go out of town, because one thing that, I talk about I'm vocal, but people probably don't realize it or see it because it's one of those things that's not visible unless you actually see me in the middle of attack. But I have MS,
Okay.
multiple sclerosis. I have MS, and so half the time, sometimes I've been going through an attack, but y'all wouldn't even know if it's steady work.
Yeah.
And so because of that, he knows like I can't travel alone because it might because it's so random. It's one of those random just things that you'll be okay one minute and then
next
you can barely move the next minute, and then it might last a few seconds, it might last a day or a week, it just you never know. So even when I go to book events or like when I was going back and forth for the film, he made sure he took off. He's like, I'm off going with you, I'm traveling with you just to make sure he has my back, even just for nothing else, just to make sure that I'm well. And that if I'm not well, he can be there to get me to where I need to be so I can get well.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because doing what you do, I'm like, and I too, I'm like your agent. Hey, how do you get everything done? I'm single and I'm like, you're married with, a family, and how are you doing everything? Because you still got to be not just entrepreneur and businesswoman, you still got to be wife and mom and then friend, sister, whatever. And I'm just like, you have a lot of irons in the fire. Like, how do you get it done? So
yes, he's a big, and my kids are really helpful too. They kind of fall into it. And even some of the things like that I do, I go to them because they're younger, so even something like even the quotes and stuff and the captions that I do, I'll go talk to my son or my daughter and I'll be like, how do you think? And they'll give me something, quirky to say if I'm kind of at a loss for words or, because I realize the value of tapping into cross generations.
Yes.
That's how you pull people in. So they even help me out that way where they're like, because they're quick to tell me, Mama, that ain't it. That ain't it. They tell me in a minute. So they are not afraid, but it's truly a family affair, I would say that. But I always try to dedicate either Friday night or Sunday night to like family time where
that's good.
It's like no phone, nothing else. If we do anything, we're watching a movie together, we're eating dinner together, like that is our time. So, and we're even planning a trip to, like, my husband took a Greenville, right, for our anniversary. But it's also a very kid-friendly place. And when I say that, like young adult, teenage, young adult, it's friendly towards that. Even your small kids too. But it's a family-oriented place, but it also could be a couple-oriented place. It is just versatile like that. I really loved it. So we're planning a trip where we're taking, a whole family trip, and we're gonna go do the whole adult, teenage stuff. Like they have their fun. So that'll be another time where I'm like weekend free, nothing. This is with my family.
Yeah. So being that, you're moving around all these pieces, for someone who's just starting like their business journey or their literary journey, what kind of advice would you give them? Like traps to look out for, things that you think would help them just to get started because they may not know where to start.
And that's a big deal because you really don't know where to start. I always say the literary industry is a little bit different than other entertainment industries because in order to get sound advice, you almost have to have like a manager or an agent or something because there's a lot of misinformation out here, and when you're starting out, you don't know what is misinformation versus what is actual factual. So I always tell people, if you can, first and foremost, find a literary mentor, someone who's been in
Mhm.
it for a while, who's trusted. You can check out their business acumen. Go
Yeah.
through their social media, see how they interact with people. Because I always say, avoid the messy.
Mhm.
Avoid the messy
Yeah.
because you don't want to link up with someone who's messy, and that's just real because people don't understand is that there's a lot of underlying tags that you get, and if
Mhm.
you kind of mess with someone who's very unprofessional and keeps up a lot of drama, you get inadvertently that tag placed on you. But it's the
Yeah.
same thing when we were growing up as kids. It's like they
Mhm.
always said birds of a feather flock together,
Yeah.
and that might not necessarily be true, but that's how it's going to be viewed.
Yeah. It's gonna look
So,
that way. Yeah.
yeah, get you a mentor and don't be afraid to ask those questions. Go in some of these Facebook writing groups that are actually giving out tips and
Mhm.
advice and ask the questions. Go and don't even be afraid to go to some of the vets. Like a lot of them actually like for newer authors to come to them
Yeah.
respectfully, and
Yes.
introduce yourself and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I love your work. I admire you. I would like to, just can I pick your brain? A lot of them actually really appreciate that. So, go to them and don't be afraid to step out and really do this because you have to know. I understand on the one hand, as authors, we're artists and we're sensitive about our ears,
Mhm.
but we
Yeah.
also have to be able to take that step, open to take those steps to actually communicate and go to people.
Yeah.
Something I wish I would have done when I was first starting out. I'm telling y'all something that I've learned now,
Yeah.
but I was a little bit timid when I first started, so I was scared
I
to
can't
really.
believe that.
I Nobody believes it,
I
and
can't
but
believe
I
that.
was I was so timid. Look, I think this is part of my involvement in my growth.
Mhm.
When I first got married, my husband didn't even know I was a writer. That's how shy I was about my writing. Like, he
Wow.
didn't even know. When I first started writing, he was like, when did you start doing this? And I was like, all my life. And he's like, but I said, you never saw me because it was
Yeah.
something that I did in private. My
Mhm.
mom knows, like my little circle of friends that grew with me since like fifth grade, they knew.
Yeah.
So I was like, but nobody really knows that this is what I love to do. And he was like,
Yeah.
well, you should do more. And I was like, yeah, maybe one day. And so then that day finally came. And now I guess he's like, look, I told you to do more. You done turned this into a whole career.
Um, that's funny. Um, is there anything that you've edited out of a book that you wish you had left in?
Um, you know what? No, I can honestly say out of my published works, no. Like
No.
I got to a place where I was so comfortable just saying,
Mhm.
what I wanted to say
Yeah.
that I haven't done that. Now my before published works, I did because I was a little timid too to
Yeah.
say what I wanted to say and write what I wanted to write. But I'm also one that's reflective. So when I would go back and read it, it didn't feel like me.
Okay.
So I was like, if I'm gonna, publish, I gotta shed this fear and just be like, it is what it is.
Okay.
And that's what I did. That's actually how I came up with the name Untamed, because once I shed that, I was like, now what pseudonym am I gonna use? So I always knew I was gonna write under a
And
pseudonym.
that was my next question. Was how did you come up? I'm looking at my list of questions that I want to make sure I touch on with you. And that was my next question
That was
was
the
how did
next
you come up
one.
with that pseudonym? That's interesting though. I mean, I like that and it fits.
Yes.
It
So I
fits
was like,
very well.
if I was like, what name would I describe myself? Because I was like, I don't want to be bound to any genre. I don't want
Yeah.
to be bound to what I have limited to what I have to write.
Yeah.
What name? And the first thing that came to my mind was Untamed. And then I
Mhm.
went Googling, like, is anybody named Untamed? And then I was like, no. And I was like, yes, that's what I'm gonna name myself, Untamed.
And
And
it
so
works. Yeah,
it
it works. I
worked.
mean, it really suits
Who
who we
you
see, your public persona at least. It definitely suits you. So I agree.
are.
You did good. What does success look like to you?
Success looks like to me is me being able to look back and see my growth. Like,
Mm.
even if it's the point that I look back, I often, like I said, reflect on things. I
Mm-hmm.
look back even just to 2020. Everything was shut down. Nothing was going. I mean, everybody was shut down. Nothing was going on. Nothing was
Yeah.
popping. You might have released books, but it was just kind of like, wow. But you know, one thing I noticed in 2020, some of the best books I read came out in 2020 from
Yeah.
authors who were writing from like 2019 and 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that let me know, I think we all might have needed that time to kind of just shut down everything else and get
Yeah.
inside ourselves and really start creating.
Yeah.
And I will say just even that much, just reflecting back on what you did the year before, or even a month before, how is it now? Because sometimes we get inside of our head, you know, like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing what I need to be doing. I'm not pushing how I need to be pushing. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm good about now stopping and saying, where were you in 2020?
Yeah.
You know, where were you in 2019? Where were you in
Yeah.
2018? Where were you in 2013? If I have to take
Yeah.
it all the way back there, like I'm like, ooh, you know what? I cannot complain. And
Yeah.
I honestly say that in 2021, because in 2020, like I just said affirmations like, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I want my career. Like I said, one of my affirmations was, I want to have something going on in my literary career every month in the year of
Mm-hmm.
2021. And by God, he has made that happen. And he was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, here you
That's a
go.
blessing.
And,
Yes.
you
That's a
know,
blessing.
so just looking back on 2020, I'm like, I had nothing going. I had all the time in the world in 2020. In
Yeah.
2021, it's like, okay, so now what date and what time again?
You asked for it. He delivered.
And
He
he
delivered.
delivered
Yes.
it.
Yes. Yes. So last question. Do you feel like you are actively sitting in your purpose?
I do. I feel that I am. And I know that I am. You know, this was spoken over my life when I was a kid, and my mom was saying, she was telling me back then I need to, you know, write a poem to Hillary Clinton. She was in office at the time. Her husband was. I say she because she was running the White House, you know.
Mm,
Okay, she's running the White House then. So she was like, throw the kid away. She was running it. So she's like, you need to write a poem to Hillary Clinton. And I'm looking at her like, what do I need to write a poem to Hillary Clinton? I wish I would
yeah.
have done it though. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so I said, you know, back then I probably would have got some national clout, you know, for that. But I was just like, not doing that. But it's something that's always been a part of me. And I
Yeah.
even tried to run, like I told you, it was private. I
Hmm.
wrote on my own and it kept coming to me, you know, you need to do more, you need to do more.
Yeah.
And I'm a rebel. Like I was
Yeah.
comfortable. I didn't need the world to know who I was in my writing, but it was
Yeah.
just an urging. And so I said, okay, God, you know how your girl is. I have to talk to him real because that's the only way I know
Yeah.
her. Like, you know how your girl is. You know, I'm a rebel. You might be telling me to do this, but you need to make it plain because you know I'm not
Yeah.
gonna listen to no, you know, little side
Yeah.
views. And
Well, just look, leave it stuff.
yeah, you got to give it to
Hmm.
me plain. And
Yeah.
I'm walking through the living room, and Tyler Perry's accepting an award, right? I'm not even watching this award show. I was just walking through the living room.
Hmm.
And he, at that exact moment when I'm in front of the television, he says, you know, when something is meant for you, when you try to leave it alone, but it won't
Hmm.
leave you alone. And
Mm.
I stopped and I turned and I looked at the television and I said, I don't know what else he said throughout that speech because my mind was going in. And as
Yeah.
soon as he finished, my husband listened to me. He was like, you okay? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to publish my work. And he was like, okay. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, God told him, I asked him for a sign, and he gave me a clear sign. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why I know, because I asked him
Wow.
for it and he gave it to me. So
Wow. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I appreciate you. I will probably be in your DMs at some point again in the next few days just because I like to harass you. But I want to thank you again for taking time out of your schedule. Like I said, I know you're extremely busy. I appreciate you making time to talk to me today and allow me to get to know you just a little bit better.
well, thank you.
Um,
Always, you know, I make time for you.
I appreciate that. So, guys, you'll be able to access her work by clicking the link in my bio if you're on social media, or clicking the links below if you're on my blog. Have a great day, and thanks for stopping by KayBee Spot.